and it's bad. Like it
It's like I'm
is
getting
like no
bullied by
man's
little
land.
kids.
Getting bullied by 9-year-olds, and it hurts like more than anything.
Welcome to the Turn Your Followers into Clients podcast. I'm Vanessa Lau, and my mission is to help new coaches, content creators, and corporate escapees get visible and get paid. I went from quitting my corporate job with no backup plan to suddenly building a multiple 7-figure business in less than 2 years thanks to the power of social media. My life changed in an entire year, and I believe yours can too. So boss, let's help you get visible and get paid, and dive into today's episode. Hi, Jackson. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here, Vanessa. It's such a full circle moment.
So Jackson, how about you start off and kind of take a moment to tell us more about yourself, your journey, and what exactly you do today.
Okay, so a lot of you might not expect this because I have 500,000 followers just about on TikTok. 6 to 8 months ago, social media nobody, never really posted on Instagram, never posted on Twitter, YouTube, anything. TikTok was the new guy on the street just before COVID hit. And I was in a pre-law program. And so Vanessa had been giving me tips through YouTube, and a lot of us, hundreds of thousands of us, through YouTube about social media growth. And I thought, okay, I feel like Instagram's a little bit saturated, although we know it's not now. And I want to try these out on TikTok. And so I started sort of learning from Vanessa, which is crazy, during my pre-law study abroad semester in 2018. And so I say this all the time, but I was like minoring in BGA and majoring in law. And I wound up graduating college, and right around my graduation date, I was set to go to law school, but my TikTok took off. And that is when I went from 0 to 70,000 followers within just about a week. And so now I'm helping other value-based creators, educators, motivators use the platform because it's the direction it's heading in. And that's a lot about me. Other than that, I have a Frenchie and live in New York City.
That's amazing. And I'm so excited to talk more about the strategies that you have for our listeners about TikTok, because Jackson is literally such a pro when it comes to TikTok stuff. Funny enough, I actually was on my For You page on TikTok because I love like being on TikTok, just not as a content creator, but more so as a consumer. I'm always like late at night, just scrolling through the feed, laughing my butt off. And then I saw one of Jackson's videos of him sharing like different tips and strategies, and I followed. And then it wasn't until like maybe a few hours that I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same Jackson that's in my program, the Boss Graham Academy, because when I found you, you had like more followers than I did. So I was just so impressed, and just, I felt very humbled that I got a chance to mentor you. And so how exactly did you find the Boss Graham Academy, and what ultimately made you sign up? Plus, what are some of the results that you might have gotten from the program itself?
Yeah, so it's crazy because during COVID, my dad, I was in law school, or I was in a pre-law program, and my dad was like, please go to law school, please get an MBA. And I was like, look, there's this girl this woman I've been listening to online for years. She has built a successful business, not only a multi-million-dollar business, but a impactful one as well, just through social media, just through sharing her experience and utilizing that. And so I was like, we have an MBA or we have Boss Graham Academy. And eventually he actually helped me make that first investment because I was just a student. And I hopped in, but it was because of Vanessa's free YouTube content, and not even Instagram. I never even looked at her Instagram once. And that's what got me into the realm of sort of social media marketing and things like that. And since Boss Graham Academy, what it really helped me to do was not only to, hone in on the niche, that's important, but you have to have a certain level of confidence in validation and pricing. And I would have never even known that I could charge for my experience at 21 years old online, coaching people that are 40, 50, even 60 years old. I mean, the imposter syndrome was insane. So I think something that Boss Graham Academy did beyond the crazy good converting content strategies was, set me up to succeed, even though all I had was experience. A little experience and interest, and I basically turned passion into profit. I love what I do.
I'm so happy for you. And the fact that, just to shout out Jackson a little bit more, he has his own program now, the Talk Academy. And I follow him on Instagram and on TikTok now. And I just see the transformations that you've given to your students. And, you know, I love how you said as a 21-year-old, you never imagined that you'd be coaching people who are like way older than you. Well, on this episode, you're going to be coaching me on TikTok because you have far exceeded my performance on TikTok, that's for sure. And so switching gears, like I remember when TikTok first started coming out, my first thought was like, oh my gosh, this is for kids. It's like a knockoff Vine. I'm not going to do this. No, 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 no. And I really regret that I didn't hop on that TikTok train when it was really hot. It still is. But I remember there was that peak period where like it was really up and coming. And a big reason was I was really intimidated by TikTok. Like even when I tried to make a video, I was like, how do I even find the sounds? Like how do these people do these transitions? Like Gen Z has got TikTok down to a science. And so, you know, do you agree that TikTok is for kids or Gen Z only? Or, you know, what is your advice for people who might still feel a little bit intimidated by being on TikTok?
Right. So if you're intimidated to be on TikTok, just know that even at 21 years old, when I started creating content, I felt out of touch. I felt too old. I felt inexperienced. I felt scared. Like these are things that every single TikTok user feels. But what I love to say is YouTube in like 2005, Instagram in 2011, those were the new kids on the block. They weren't profitable. They were like looked down upon, and they were like foreign, new kids on the block. And look at them now. And I truly believe that TikTok is such a refined version of Vine. And where Vine was comedy, TikTok really is education and value sharing and conversation creating. And so if you can approach TikTok rather than worrying about the crazy tutorials, the crazy transitions, the crazy everything that's curated editing, and look into the relatable value that you can share with my clients, all I tell them is, how do you talk to people on Instagram stories? And mirror that on TikTok. And you'd be surprised. I know there's these 13, 14-year-olds dancing on the app. The content that sticks, the content that's profitable, the content that helps you to grow and connect and lead a tribe, that's the content where you're speaking to the camera raw and sharing the value that you have. And the moment that you post your first few videos and get 300 views with 0 followers and 0 engagement, that's when you'll notice the power of this algorithm. And when you pair it with what you have to offer and your authenticity, it's when you hit 500,000.
100%. I think that what I got from what your answer is the fact that if you can be on Instagram stories, if you can like film videos on another platform, if you can do Instagram Reels and not do TikTok, like you should probably do TikTok. Like even for me, I remember I had so much resistance, but like you said, even your videos, the reason why I first followed you, the video that I found you on my For You page wasn't fancy. It didn't have transitions. It didn't have like anything crazy. It was literally like, now that you say it, yeah, it was exactly as if you were just doing an Instagram story, just explaining how to grow on TikTok and like what trends to watch. And I was like, great, this is a lot of value. Follow. And another thing too, when people say like, oh, is it still for kids? I mean, for me, I'm like turning 27 this year, and I'm on TikTok every single night. If I look at my data of how many hours I spend on each app, I spend more of my time on TikTok than any other app as a consumer. And I've also bought more things from TikTok than any other platform. Like I get served a video about like this product changed my life, or these are like 5 software apps that have absolutely changed the game for my business. I'm like already on it, because what I noticed, and you can kind of elaborate more on this too, is I think the beauty of TikTok is that it's so easy to find other people, whereas platforms like Instagram, I love Instagram. I'm all about Instagram, obviously, but for you to actually see things on your feed, you have to already be following the person. Whereas on TikTok, like I am on my For You page more than on my following page. So I see videos of random creators, and I think that might contribute to why like your videos get way more views and way more vanity metrics than any other platform, because the algorithm kind of works in the creator's favor, where like it will push you to more people. Like, can you kind of explain just how the algorithm works and why you think that when I post a video on TikTok, it just kind of like gets way more engagement than any other platform, including my YouTube channel? Why is that, you think?
I love that you brought that up, and this is probably one of the most important things I'll say today. The TikTok algorithm is here for small creators. It does not here's the best way to explain it. Exactly what Vanessa said. 80 to 90% of the people on the app are scrolling through the For You page, which is a lot like Instagram's Explore or Discover page. Problem is, on Instagram, people are scrolling through their home feed, people that they've known, loved, already trust for years now. And so TikTok is the place for you to discover your audience, to meet them, to converse with them. And Instagram is a lot more of a home base, is what I'm noticing, where you really nurture and hang out with your audience. TikTok is where you discover your audience at scale. And yeah, there's some vanity metrics in there, but they're, especially because this is a newer platform, there's not as much, monetization or ads on there as there might be on Instagram. There's a lot more trust, which might be why, Vanessa, you're just scrolling through your For You page having fun and you wind up buying from people. And so I think in Boss Graham Academy, you described the Instagram algorithm as recency based, relationship based, and interest based, meaning that you put out your content and people must be engaging with it when it first gets posted. It's relationship based because you're mainly getting your content sent out to people who already know and love you. And it's interest based where, that niche is still important. TikTok is not recency based at all. For those of you who don't know, it gets sent out, your posts get sent out for 90 plus days. I have a video on the For You page today from December 15th. It's a video optimized with BGA's converting content strategy too, so that doesn't hurt. So that's sort of where it differs on the first pillar. Second off, where Instagram's relationship based, TikTok is novel, new, stranger audiences. Each time that you post, about 80 to 90% of the people that you hit will be completely new people, strangers scrolling through the For You page who stumble upon your content. And that's why this platform is the most important thing you can do for your growth on social media, to meet new clients and then warm them up through your content here and on Instagram.
Oh, such a good answer. Oh my gosh. This is why I'm so excited to have this interview with you. You really show that you understand this platform inside and out. And there's no doubt in my mind why you're so successful with not just your own results, but your clients as well in your program. Oh, I'm so proud of you. And so, I've been creeping your content because guys, I'm going to be hopping on this TikTok train. I'm already on it, but I'm going to really go full force, and just talking to Jackson is making me so excited. So I have been looking at your content and learning from you. And it's so interesting that I was a mentor to you. Now you're kind of like a mentor to me on a different platform. But there was one video that I saw, or a few videos that I saw from you, where you kind of talk about the different stages and seasons of growth. And you mentioned that there's 5 of them. And I'm really curious to know if you could explain that to our listeners of what these stages of growth looks like and what it really means and what these seasons are and why it's important to know them.
Awesome. Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, that's a great question because as business owners on here, we have about 5 seasons, which dictate the actions that we take on the app. And it's really important that you don't try to take action as if you're in the 4th season, which I'll describe the names in a second, when you're in season 1 of TikTok. And let's just start with season 1. So season 1, the first season of TikTok, is when you're new. You've never posted before. Yet remember, this algorithm empowers small creators. So if you're posting quality content, if you're posting content with value and optimized, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about strategy for video optimization later, this is the experimentation phase. All you're trying to do right now is pump out a solid amount of quantity, maybe 2 to 3 posts a day for a solid week or so. Don't worry, we're going to focus on quality eventually. But right now, all you're doing is seeing what's hitting. You're testing out different lengths, different formats. You're not worried about the numbers. Something you said, Vanessa, in one of your podcast episodes that stuck with me to this day is failure is feedback. Numbers are data. Don't make meaning of them. In this first season of TikTok growth, when you're starting out, all you're doing is testing the waters and see what's working and what's not working. After that, you'll probably have about 1,000 followers. That's the number that you need to go live. When we're there, we're working on growth. So you're developing series. You're using the market research, the data, the stats that you got from the first 1,000 followers, and you are creating content that consistently follows what did well that first season. So remember, here what you're doing is you're refining your craft almost. So in the third phase, this is where the business owners come in, and it's a super fun time because you get to make some money, make some impact. So now you have, and if you're hitting the third phase, you have a solid audience of at least a couple thousand followers. That number is important just because it means you can go live. We're not really focusing on vanity here, but we need you to be able to go live to properly launch your offer on there. And here you're focusing, if you're in Boss Graham Academy, you're focusing on modules, I believe 5 and 6, the content conversion strategies. Now is the time not to create content that gets views, not just to create content that builds community, but content that converts for your business. So I don't want you to be worrying about creating converting content in the first two seasons, because you're building your community, you're building trust, you're building your numbers up, and you're figuring out what series, what video lengths, what topics are hitting. And then guess what? When you hit the launch phase, season 3, all you have to worry about now is replicating what you already know works and catering to your audience and converting followers to clients to make some transformations in your business. After there, season 4 would be you're maintaining. You're pumping out maybe half converting content, half community building content. And number 5 is where scalability happens. And that's when you're really going to maybe even niche up a little bit more. But something important to note, and this is a little bit related to the seasons, but not quite as much, is know your niche in and out for the messaging of your business, for your bio, for the way you speak to your clients and audience. But don't be afraid to niche up, especially in those first 2 seasons, to capture a little bit of a wider audience, to build your authority, to build your expertise. And if you're a new coach, you might not know what you want to coach yet. You might need to find that ideal audience member. You do that by meeting them. So yeah.
That's so interesting. It's very similar to, if I could compare my journey on YouTube, let's say, I think it's very similar where like in the beginning, I was kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall when I was starting out to see what was working. That was like what you were mentioning with seasons 1 and 2. I was a little bit more broad so that I could experiment more. And then I kind of really niched down in the middle. And that's where I really like focused on what really worked and started talking about my offer more. I got really clear, not just as a content creator, but as a business owner. And then once you kind of get more popular, like Jackson's mentioning, like then you kind of have the ability to niche up a little bit and be a little bit more broad, because now you're kind of like a public figure. And so you can be a little bit more broad in what you do because you've built that big community. Now I have a couple of follow-up questions. You mentioned go live a few times. Did you mean go live in your business, or do you mean unlocking the live function within TikTok? What did you mean by go live?
I meant unlocking the live function in TikTok, because not only does this function help to physically boost up your posts in the algorithm, but also it's, at least personally speaking, it's one of the number one ways I've been able to create urgency and demand and awareness for my paid offers. And you'll find the same thing. Yeah.
When you go live, like, do you just talk about your offer? Is it like FAQ? I've actually never gone live on TikTok before. So why is it important? How does it work? Like, could you tell us more about that? Because I had no idea that going live is actually helpful to growing on TikTok.
Well, I hit my first 10K week because of going live on TikTok. Now, of course, because of the audience I built, but going live on TikTok when I had some posts doing well, I'll do some like secret sauce strategies in a second, helped me to bring awareness. People didn't even know I had an offer. And so let's start with the secret sauce. Going live, you'll want to do it when you have a post, either right after you make a post or when you have a post on the For You page, because the way that live works, it's different than Instagram, where the live shows up in the stories area at the top of your screen. Instead, your little profile icon flashes, and that profile icon is displayed on each of your videos. So if you have a video doing well on the For You page, if you have a video that you just posted, remember, it's getting sent out to a minimum of 200 people each time you post because of this great algorithm. And so you have so much traffic going past that post. And so going live at that time, you're going to have a lot more people jumping in who might not know you, who can get to know you and get to know that you have a paid offer that can help them make a transformation. And so that's the function of live business-wise. Otherwise, go live just to get to know your audience and boost your posts up.
Hey boss, are you enjoying what you're hearing so far? Well, I'm interrupting my own episode to invite you to my free training over at www.followerstoclients.com. This training has helped thousands of my own students nail down their niche, create content that brings them more leads to their door, and implement an easy to deploy social media funnel that helps them close clients like a boss. This training is perfect for anyone who is starting out in business and wants to know the roadmap to making 10K months, regardless if you're a new coach, content creator, or corporate escapee. By the end of this training, you are guaranteed to walk away with strategies that you can implement instantly. The best part is that this training is absolutely free and breaks down my entire methodology to signing paid clients, plus complimentary trainings that I don't share anywhere else on my free channels. Register today at www.followerstoclients.com. Link is in the description box below. I can't wait to see you there. And now let's get back into the episode. Okay, and then another follow-up question is you mentioned two different types of posts, community posts and kind of like business-related posts. Can you kind of explain examples, what like, let's say a community post could look like for your niche and what a business post could look like for your niche? Because I know every niche would have different ones, but just to paint the picture of what you mean by that.
Perfect. Great question. There's actually more like three types of posts on TikTok. One would be your growth posts. These are posts that are designed to go far, to get some vanity, to get views and grow your exposure. That would be like my Trend Watch series, which funny enough is how Vanessa discovered me. That's a series where I report on trends. As you can see, any TikToker who wants to grow can relate with that, can get value from that. A more community building post might be a challenge. So let's use an example for someone else. If you're a manifestation coach in BGA, you might do a manifestation challenge for online entrepreneurs or whatever your ideal audience is. That'd be more community building where you're talking to that audience member. A converting content, a business post, which would be the third type, that is something that's strictly calling out, and I don't remember off the top of my head all the BGA strategies for converting content, but you're calling out your ideal client themselves.
Mistakes, all those things, right?
All of those things. And you don't want those to be, in the beginning of your TikTok career, you don't want to have only converting content. You're here to build a community, build trust, build your authority. Once you start to get some numbers, then you can really, really focus on those converting posts. Because they're the ones that are going to get some clients into your business.
I love all of that. Okay. And so I guess you answered one of my questions is like, do you have to always post like trendy things because I think that's where TikTok might get intimidating for people or feel exhausting for people. I know for me in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, like, there's this dance challenge going on and then there's this sound that's super popular or whatever else. Like, would you say that it's not important, or is it important, but it's not the full strategy that would help you grow?
Yeah, it's important, but it's not the full strategy that will help you grow. And think about it this way. A trend lasts a week, a trend lasts 2 weeks, never more than a month. And your TikTok posts can get sent out for 90 days plus. So if your account is built on trends, or if it's built on hacks, or if it's built on anything like that, you're missing out on that growth potential, that passive growth potential that's available to you with this algorithm. And so, yeah, throw on a trending sound onto your posts when you can. But evergreen content that's backed with the value you have to offer in whatever way you want to present that, whether it's speaking to the camera very raw and relatably, or something a little bit more edited and manicured. However that is so much more important than, trends on this app. You're here to build a business, not just to blow up. And evergreen content, you can have a post converting for your business. You can have a post converting to your business for 3 months straight, passively. So that was a long answer. My short answer to that really is throw some trending sounds onto some of your posts, follow trends in maybe 10 to 20% of your content, but reserve that other 80% for you without the trends.
Yeah, I think it's like the content creation pie, right? Like, it makes up part of the pie, but it's not the entire pie. And I love how you mentioned you're not just here to blow up your socials, you're here to build a business. And if you're constantly just doing dance challenges or following different trends, yeah, that could get you seen, but it's not going to convert anything or anyone because you don't have other content that's backing it up. It's kind of similar to, those content pieces could get traffic to your page, but then if there's nothing in your arsenal that has more valuable content for people to chew on, or actually gets them to understand who you really are and what your business offers, then it's just, you're just building up dead traffic. And so I love all of that. Okay, so another question that I have is, this is kind of a general question. I hate it when people ask me this question, but I'm going to ask you it anyways, is, what's the formula for success on TikTok? Like, how did you go from 0 to 500,000? Did you follow basically those 5 seasons, or did you make a few mistakes and now you know the 5 seasons? Like, how exactly did you grow?
Right. So the secret sauce is like, and this sounds super cliche, but it really is you. Remember, this is such a, so the way I see it is, there's an energy transfer on TikTok that you don't really get on other platforms, maybe YouTube. On Instagram, it's mainly pictures. Yeah, there's reels, but this is still based on posts, pictures. And when you have short form video content, when you have video content in general, people can pick up on subtleties, like when video's being forced, when you're uncomfortable, when you have different intentions. And so, number one, I want you to really pay attention to how you're delivering content. And really the secret sauce is experimentation and creating series. So what you'll want to do is experiment with different lengths. Remember, you can film videos from 0 to 60 seconds, experiment with 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, see what's sticking, see if you can hold attention for that long. And if you can't, drop down to 15 seconds. It's all good. And use that data objectively to figure out what you want to do long term. I can say trend watch to the camera over and over and over again and get 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 views. I can also talk about TikTok growth hacks for online entrepreneurs, and I've mastered that series through a lot of trial and error and through an intention to help. And once you find something that works, stick with it. And by that I mean, if you have a 3-second hook and then a 5-second explanation and then a 5-second follow-up, whatever that might be, over and over and over again with different pieces of information. Repetition's the name of the game.
Oh my gosh, I think this is your sign, like whoever's listening, to enroll in Jackson's program. I can't imagine the juiciness that's in. I think I'm going to enroll in your program. That sounds awesome. It really does sound like you have it not to a science, because the algorithm will always change, but I love how you're so strategic, and the fact that you even mentioned the hook and all that stuff, I love. And so I actually have a question for you then, because I was experimenting with TikTok, and one thing that stood out to me is that unlike Instagram, like I feel like with Instagram, it's like post 3 to 5 times a week kind of thing. Do you have to post a lot on TikTok to succeed? Is there like a certain time that you need to post? Because what I find that I've seen other people do is I'll notice that they'll kind of repost the same video, over and over again. And like, it goes viral, even if it's a video that they posted ages ago. Like, I can't imagine me doing that for YouTube. And so, can you explain like how that works, like views and frequency that you need to post? Because even when I started my TikTok, in the beginning, it was a total fail, because I was like, okay, I'll post once a week kind of thing. And then one day I was like, you know what? I have so many videos on my draft. I'm just going to post all 5 at the same time. And my account pretty much blew up, because I posted sporadically. Like I just posted like 3 on one day, 3 on another day. There was no post schedule, and it just did well. So I just don't understand what happened. Can you explain more about like how that works?
Consistency is everything. That's really the short answer. And by that I mean, if you're in those first 2 seasons where you're starting off, you're growing, you're not launching your business, but launching your account, the more that you post, the better, because each post is hitting the For You page. Each post is hitting entirely new audiences, a minimum of 150. And so what Vanessa did was she dropped several posts within a week, maybe within a day or so, and it just increases your chances of getting viewed. But you have to look at quantity as a way to fast track quality, and you have to pay attention. So if anyone's in here is like, you know what, I'm hyped up by this podcast, I want to start on TikTok, I'd like to see you post 2 to 3 times a day for your first 2 weeks, and then reflect on that content after the 2-week period and use that moving forward, and maybe post 10 to 14 times a week. consistency is everything, and the algorithm loves consistency. I've found that the more that you post, the more they push out your content as a whole.
Yeah. And I guess like some people listening to this, they might be like, oh my gosh, that's so much content. But honestly, guys, like it's a lot more easier than you think. Because I actually find that doing TikTok videos is like fun, first of all. Second of all, like, you know, you literally like, I don't know if copying is the right word, but there's so many like things that you can do that other people have done. Like I look at other people's videos as inspiration and then I basically tweak it to my niche. And so that already decreases the amount of work that I need to do to come up with totally original content. And the thing is, depending on like obviously you're not going to copy and paste what someone else is doing, but a lot of the times the sounds come from other creators and you put your own spin to it. And I find that creating content is fun, it's easy, and it's not as complicated than you think.
It's not. Once you get in a groove, especially after you go through that first season and you nail what's working, you guys, it's easy. It is super, super easy. And TikTok has this really fun feature, the reply to comment with video feature. And what the reply to comment with video feature allows you to do is go to your comment section, and any comment that your audience has made, question, feedback, concern, update, you can reply to that, and it will be the headline of your next video. And not only does that involve your community, but it's a great way, like it's like a Q&A on Instagram stories. How long does it take you to do an Instagram story Q&A response? 15 seconds. You can do the same thing on TikTok, and you can talk to the camera and throw sounds on it if you'd like. But the moral of the story is it's a lot easier than you think. Once you make those first 3 or 5 posts, it's a walk in the park.
So I am loving all of this. Now I have a confession to make. I love TikTok as a content creator, as a consumer, but the comment section scares me. Like it is savage. Like I have never heard like and seen that many hurtful comments ever. And just like people's mindset or the way that they think. I don't know if it's because the people who do comment, maybe they're kids or something, but dang, it stings. Like I don't even want to look at my comment section at this point. And so,
No.
I mean, how do you deal with that? Like, do you have any mindset shifts or I don't know, because I feel like the comment section is pretty painful for me, at least, especially as a business owner. I find that platform, there's a lot of people who are always just such skeptical, like they're always skeptical, they're always challenging you and just thinking that everyone is lying to them if they're successful. At least that's kind of what I encountered.
Yeah.
You guys, if you're listening to this, don't look at my comment section. It is very mean. Meaner than YouTube, meaner than any platform that I've ever been on. And so how do you deal with that as a content creator, dealing with negativity in the comment section?
Yeah, so I have and it's bad. Like it
It's
is.
like I'm getting
like
bullied by
man's
little
land.
kids.
I'm getting bullied by 9-year-olds, and it hurts like more than anything. I have in my first module of my digital course of the Talk Academy is a bonus lesson on how hate helps. One mindset shift that is really powerful is anything that's stinging in life when it's said to you, when people criticize you, it's definitely hitting an already, weak or insecure or, maybe just a spot that needs a little bit more tweaking, a little bit more healing. So, finding some appreciation for that hate, knowing that it's completely on them and not on you. And if someone's coming for you or your looks or your business, ground yourself in why you started here. And always remember that you have an audience out there who wants to support you. And vulnerability, relatability is the name of the game on TikTok. So if you're strong enough, this is tough. I haven't done it too many times myself, but reply to that comment. Bring it up to the forefront of your profile. Use a funny sound. Make a lesson out of it or make a joke out of it. And put the ball back in your court and let your audience come like a follower army to like your rescue. Not that they need to come to your rescue, but use it to build up the trust and support and relationship with your audience. But yeah, it's going to happen.
Yes, that the comment section hurts, but I really appreciate your insight in terms of mindset going into it and just understanding that most times those hateful comments, they're not coming from your ideal clients. And so what matters is you focusing on why you were there in the first place, like you mentioned. And I love the fact that you mentioned that don't be afraid to reply to those comments. You can do videos. And I see people who's responded to hate comments with video, and their videos actually go viral because their response is either so funny or so on point or so whatever. And so I love that. And one thing that I really appreciate about TikTok and how I might compare it to Instagram is I find that the TikTok community is just so authentic, and it's not, there's not a lot of like filter stuff going on, people like pretending to have something that they don't have. It's just a really relaxed and fun platform. Whereas with Instagram, everything's like meticulously curated and everything like that. And so I love TikTok personally. So this has been such a great interview. Jackson, what are some of your last few words of wisdom for our listeners who either want to learn more about your journey or either they want to learn more about TikTok? What are some last words of wisdom that you want our listeners to walk away with when it comes to TikTok?
Could probably fill an entire 2 hours, but I'll try to condense it into a couple minutes. Remember that it took me 4 months to go from 0 to 10K, which was a slow grind. And 10K on TikTok isn't equivalent to 10K on Instagram. 10K on TikTok might be 1K on Instagram. So remember that. But it did take me 4 months to hit that, and then 1 week to hit 70, and then 1 week to hit 270K. So yes, this is a viral based platform. Yes, that one video can completely change it for you. Keep that in the back of your mind, but don't rely on that. You're here to build a business, and if you marry the authenticity of yourself, the vision of why you started here as a coach, with the power of this algorithm, hooks, watch time, things like that, you're going to go far on here. And Vanessa said it perfectly, that this is a platform of fun, relatability, and trust. So take advantage of that and really approach it like you're just talking on Instagram stories. You don't need a crazy transition. You don't need to do the wipe transition and, change into 7 different outfits. You really need to share your experience and your interests. And I'll tell you, storytelling is one of the number one ways you can grow on any platform, especially TikTok. And if you approach this app as a way, your content as a way to, number one, give value. Number 2, show your personality and coaching philosophy. Remember, people are meeting you. They need to see themselves working with you. And number 3 is then, of course, converting content as well. But TikTok is a little nibble, a little bite at what you have to offer. And those posts that, they're niche, but they're a little bit niched up. They're just a little bite at what you have to offer. Those are the ones that are going to take you far, capture those audience members, and then you nurture them. Every piece of content has a different intention. Some are for your community, some are to grow and get numbers, and some are to convert for your business. So hit post. Hit post and create series.
I love that. And if I could add one more thing, I know that you mentioned the 5 seasons in business. I kind of want to add like a season 0 is if you are scared to be on TikTok, you don't know where to start. I think what really helped me get my feet wet was just being a consumer of TikTok. Just actually enjoying it for myself and getting served and watching enough videos so that the For You page was kind of curated to what I was interested in. The moment you start actually using TikTok, not for business, but for yourself, you're going to really understand all the things that Jackson is talking about. And also you're going to see so much content that you personally enjoy that it's a no-brainer for you to be on TikTok. Kind of like how I realized that I needed to be on TikTok was the impact that TikTok had on me, of me looking at other content creators. I'm like, this is really cool stuff. This is so interesting. I love this. Why am I not on here? And so if I could add like one more season, it would be just be on the platform. You don't even have to put pressure on yourself to create content yet if you don't want to. This episode with Jackson will always be here for you. And I highly recommend that you follow Jackson to implement strategies or even join his program. But before that, if you want to get your feet wet, just enjoy the platform for yourself. And so speaking of getting connected with you, where is the best place to send our audience to if they want to learn more about you and if they want to get connected to your program or whatever else?
The best place to find me, and thank you again, Vanessa, I completely agree with what you said. TikTok is all about that. It's all about consuming. And don't forget about checking out creators that are comedians, creators that are entertainers. And what do you like about them? Implement that with your educational content. But if you'd like to find me, Jackson's Tips on TikTok, on Instagram as well. You'll be a little bit disappointed. I just started my Instagram, so we're only at 600 followers right now. And send me a DM on TikTok. I'm always down to talk. And say that you came from the podcast, say you came from BGA, and we can create a little BGA family on there. Maybe we'll even start a hashtag or something. You never know.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Jackson.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Thank you, Vanessa.
You just finished listening to an episode on the Turn Your Followers into Clients podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you leave us a review on iTunes, and don't forget to share this episode with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag me at vanessalau.co on Instagram. Now, if you want more of that good stuff, head over to www.vanessalau.co, click on our blog, and access all of the show notes from this podcast. Now, boss, keep doing the damn thing and building a business you don't need an escape from.